when we see um, uh, something like mass shootings happening again and again and again, then we have to start recognizing that there is a systemic problem here. There's something we need to recognize. There is something that we need to start becoming conscious of. Now, what I spoke in the last couple of minutes was on a very Kabbalistic spiritual level, but that awareness can begin from just a social understanding, a sociological kind of perspective. We need to start understanding that, if you see this result happening again and again, you got to say, okay, there's a trend here. There's a culture that breeds these actions. There is something in the air. There is something in the music of society that breeds these events and these situations. And so we need to change something deeper. We can't just judge when something happens. You read that endless list in the beginning, which was scary, right? When something happens this frequently, you got to ask yourself, you got to be blind to not ask yourself, what is making this happen. It's not just, oh, this person is evil, that person is evil, this person is evil. Let's lock this guy up, let's lock that guy up, let's do, that is something you may have to do just to protect society, but it doesn't solve anything.
So
Yeah.
these are mass shootings that we spoke about, but in the city of Chicago, in March last month, there was 233 gun-related incidents and 298 shooting victims in
Wow.
Chicago in March. Almost 300
So
shooting victims in Chicago
that's
in March.
one
So
month in one place.
in one city, yeah.
Wow.
So clearly there's a
Hmm.
political element to showing these mass shootings on TV all the time, because why isn't the news just telling us what's going on in Chicago every day? I
Hmm.
mean, shouldn't we? There's no racial divide. It's not between different it's a totally different. So we should kind of get away from even all the political and all of the race and
Okay, let's take specifically the school shootings, right? Because there's all kinds of mass shootings, but the school shootings, I think, is a very prominent example of what you're talking about. Because in the school shootings, if you look at the trend, it's very, very clear that it's always young adults, right? You look at the
most of the
Columbine,
shooters
ma- what
20s in their 20s or
they're in
something
their
like that.
20s, right? 19, 20, 22, 20. Like it's always a young adult that
A guy,
basically,
almost all the time, a
yeah,
young
yeah,
boy.
male that snaps. But before the snapping, then you got to ask yourself what happened to their life before that.
Instead of us understanding the root of what's happening and why, we're taking these moments, which can be a way to learn about ourselves and learn about humanity, and we're just stretching them out and making the suffering more and more and more by turning them into all kind of political
Yeah,
things, these kind of
we're
things.
it's very simple. We're engaging in anything besides the one thing that we could be working on, engaging in order to prevent these things from happening. I would say maybe the last 70 years of social psychology, as far as I'm familiar with, like this understanding, this growing body of knowledge that lets us see that we are products of our environment, we are products of social engineering, we are very malleable, and we are shaped by our society so much more than we realize, so much more than we see. We don't. This is the big thing about it. We are not fully aware of just how much we are influenced in every shape and form by our society. Why does Kabbalah agrees with it? Because Kabbalah talks about the root of it. Where does it come from? It comes from the fact that in our world we don't see that we're actually connected in a single body. We are like cells in a single body. And when something happens to one part of the body, it happens to the whole body. Cells are affected by the same system. We are an ecosystem. We are a superorganism. We are a network. And so this collective spiritual entity, it appears to us in this world as different people in different countries, different nations. We think we are separated from each other, but the reality is that we're all connected as one collective being. And so that's why, if you look into it, you can see all of those footprints of this collective entity in the form of these psychosocial effects, these social, everything that social psychology is finding.